Hello, this is Dr. Wendy Rowley, and this is a Heartfield series number 12. What I would like to talk about today was what came into the dream space this morning in my healing work. Um, as a practitioner of healing and as a meditator, you can actually put up a picture in your meditative space of the dream space and put a little space there on your screen. I say you work in the sixth chakra in the center of your head, and it's a skill you learn over time, working in groups with creative visualization meditation for the purposes of communing, healing, and getting information is a good thing to do in groups for training in the beginning. And eventually you can meditate on your own and have effect and go forward in the work. But in the beginning, it's always a good idea to learn in groups. But anyway, so you can put up a mock-up or a picture or a layout of something you want to look at. So it's easy to look at the dream space because your soul will often communicate to you in dreams. A wise man once said to me, your spirit works in pictures and your body receives those as a command. That's why people have dreams. As murky and as difficult as dreams can be to interpret, the dreams do provide information, and you can get to where you are looking for specific information, such as who came into my dream space? Do I have a disharmony that is similar to theirs where I could use them as a mirror to reflect as myself and see the disharmony between us and then clear it using color, words, or eventually sound. But in this kind of work, color and words and pictures work better to move energy, to clear those spaces. And so I had been watching for a while. My mother is passed away. She passed away in 2017, 18. Ooh, it's funny how it gets to the years go on and you forget. But anyway, it was a beautiful and benevolent passing. We worked together a lot with healing. I did a lot of healing guide work on her, and she actually passed with a smile on her face. I came flying down from Connecticut because that morning I woke up in the middle of the night around 3 in the morning and knew something was up, went down, meditated. I'd come back to do my taxes, and I realized something was going on. I was told to watch by the guides, and they said they were doing a healing, and it was a new type of healing I was learning called quantum healing at that time. And I went, oh my gosh, that's my mom. And I saw a big burst of light in her chest, and then this ray of light coming in. And in Oriental medicine, there's the red dot and the white dot. When the red dot lights up, the organs are going to start to shut down. That can take anywhere from a couple months to a couple years. But when the white dot goes off, passing is imminent. And so I was a little in disbelief. And I asked, is this it? And they said passing imminent several times because I kept being in doubt about it. So by then it was 6 in the morning. I did this from 3 to 6, looking at that spirit body level, spirit level, and watching them do work with her. And so I managed to get a flight down. I got there at I think 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and when I walked in the door of her apartment, she was literally leaving her body, passing away. It was an amazing experience, and a great experience of the benevolence that is available to us all for the asking. We have free will, we have to ask. Anyway, so in the dream space for the last maybe year or so on and off, I've seen a picture of her with another family member. Um, More on a not direct family, but within the family grouping. Maybe not, maybe through marriage and maybe not direct. And I know that they had had a falling out, and I thought it was interesting to watch that. And finally, last night, I got to the point where I realized I could get at that with my healing guides and do some healing in that. And what struck me was how we are really all connected. I know that event caused me some pain, because it's not the way I had envisioned it all to go. I wanted everyone to get along, and you can't predict what other people will do with their free will and with their emotions. And so I had to make peace with that. But you can see that it had clearly bothered her also on some levels, despite the human reasons why people do things, and the the way that our ego will get in the way and say, well, they did that to me and I did that to them, and blah, blah, blah. And you have to rise up to that level of love. So anyway, what I was really struck with was how as you heal through these levels that I might have talked about in here, your own level, your timeline, which is you from birth to death, and then it starts getting past life, and then you might get healing into family and groups, and then you go continue to heal, and eventually it gets to the level of like group, uh, family, tribal, and eventually so it's tribes and nations. It seems to be about like 5 levels that you can heal through so far. I've had the experience of bearing witness to in my own journey. And so I believe this was at the level of family tribe, and I was just amazed how the energy showed we are just so connected. We really are all one in the fabric of creation, of the Creator's dream, if that's what this world is. I'm just phrasing it that way. So anyway, I'm going to get out of the way and let Aliania say what she has to say. I just felt I would share about my mother's experience in both the passing, and then here years later we could still do healing work together. That's also another message there, because there's no time and space. Time is only in this 3D reality, or some people say 4D because time's one of the dimensions. But your first chakra, as I've said, is from birth to your passing, and all the other chakras are multidimensional. So it's an amazing thing being human, and that's why I like exploring the wonder of my human design, because it's brought me, and your design and all of our designs, as an archaeologist of the soul going through my own journey, because it's softened my heart, given me greater compassion, and helped me to open up to other levels of being and other ways of being, and learning how to handle when people aren't in a great space, and how do you respond to that. And as I said, I've learned more of going through this process than I have in any psychology course I've taken. No disrespect to psychology, but this is where you really start to understand human nature in a very profound way. Anyway, I hope you're finding it interesting, and that you are learning also through my sharing of my experiences. Okay. Oh, good day to you, dearest beings of light. This is Aliania of Cosmic Service, Pleiadian Mother of Sound. Peace be with you, peace be with you, and peace be with you. This day, we wish to share with you more about the group soul level in what is called the field. Now, we have described, you have your aura, you have your body, your spirit body, and your aura, or that field that you live in, with all of your records of your higher self in it. And then you have that's the inner torus, and you have an outer torus, which completes and makes up a 23 or 26 foot wide energy field. And in that outer torus are what is called your galactic Akash, or your galactic records of all of your soul's experiences prior to Earth, if you want to believe in that type of thing. This one has written papers on religion to look at all that in her medical education prior, and finishing her doctorate, in order to get her doctorate, finishing her bachelor's, because she left and went to culinary school. And so she was amazed to find out that the majority of people in the world believe in reincarnation, like near 85%, 83 to 85%, which was very surprising to her. Also, that the majority of people actually believe in a higher power, a God, some benevolent something that created everything, which is another surprising statistic. And so anyway, so that is your universe, your world, your records, your information. Actually, some people refer to it as a fuel or an energy for the body, because that information needs to move. Your energy field needs to keep moving, as she's explained in some of her videos, and that keeps the information moving. And so some people have described it, as she was trained, as a fuel for the body. We would describe it as a way of saying that it is a continuous now moment by it moving, your energy continuing to move, that it keeps you in a now moment, here, aware, aligned, grounded, attuned. So then you have, going way up above your seventh chakra, an opening out to that outer torus, then another opening outside of your 26-foot wide bubble. And that goes into an area called the field, that people sort of name it the field. And that is, as we explained in the last video, a collection of all individual humans as groups outside of their bubble at the soul level. And so we brought up also the idea of soul groups. So in this particular section or episode, we would like to talk about soul groups and their purposes and mission. Because when you get to the level of souls working together in a communion and attunement and alignment at the soul level, which is a very hard thing to imagine when you're in a body, when you're out of your body in between lifetimes, it is much easier to have a sense of your soul and a deeper understanding of it, for that is part of your world, your universe, when you are out of your body. And so you have an understanding of soul groups and a consciousness of that when you're out of the body. Can you imagine? Amazing. So soul groups come together to fulfill purposes and missions. And that's a very interesting thought, a very complex thought. What are those missions? What are those purposes? What is that? What is that purpose that a soul group can have? And we say an easy one is healing. That healing, as we have said, that she quoted on her website, all evolution is possible because of healing. And all change is possible because of healing. And healing is in a primitive form of understanding in the space you are in now in your evolution, but healing will take on an even greater meaning in the next 1,000 years, and you will have several words for healing, and they will all mean healing, but you will develop refinement in your understanding of types of healing. So we could use the general word of healing in soul groups as a profound aspect that souls do, and that's the aspect this one soul group works in. For some of you watching, we can say that there is also the soul group mission of evolution, of invention. Some of you are bringing in inventions. Some of you are bringing in ideas for new concepts of inventions. Sometimes the person who brings in an invention brings in the concept of it, but not the actual invention out to the public. Because creating has multiple levels. And the high creating of bringing in information for something new to change on the earth, whether it be a device, a technology, a product, a system for a business, changing the way manufacturing is, all the various subtleties and nuances that can be the part of the world that has to do with that which makes life easier and progress as being a human, so that you have more time to contemplate, and as this one says, navel gaze, which is the work she's involved in, that meditation, that looking at your spiritual nature, that seeing the change in energy. So there is a soul group that brings in the invention level. Another aspect we are seeing, and some of you in the future who are seeing this video, as hard as that might be to understand, for we are in a dimension that is outside of yours, even less connected with time and space. So we see potentials, and potentials are not understood the way that we see them from where you are. So we see that there's also the potential for, we see some groups of souls who are watching these videos in the future who are engaged in the organizational aspects of mankind. Now, that might mean businesses, that might mean governments, that might mean uh, church organizations or spiritual organizations, but it has to do with the forming of benevolent unifications of groups of humans. And we will leave it at that. So we're giving you some examples. Now, it's not as specific at the soul group level. It's more of the congregating of soul forces mixed with angelic forces. And we're going to talk more about that in the next couple of videos. So there is the purpose of soul groups, and there's also the mission of soul groups. Just like you in your individual life have a purpose and a mission. A purpose might be to overcome and learn something and heal something and to grow spiritually with your soul into your spirit body. A mission is a particular task that can unfold when a lot of that mundane part of living and overcoming of those purposes has happened. This one was told by her first spiritual teacher, who taught her that creative visualization in a simpler way than she learned later, said to her that the soul missions are often brought in their 60s in people. That's when the real task of the spiritual mission of people starts. And that was an interesting thought to her. And she's realized when she really sees some of the work that people bring forward, that it has a profound effect on the world. She realizes it does happen at that age. And that's because the mundane part, the relationship part, is often more, what's the word we're looking for? Mastered. That people get the hang of living. Now, one of the things that's a mission for souls is to bring in a new type of energy into the body, the spirit body, that is connected to that new intuitive level that we spoke about before. And that is going to get connected to your Akashic records at the soul group level in a different way. And this will begin unfolding as much as the next 50 to 100 years. For that, setups are coming in place, and then eventually it manifests down to the material. And what's going to happen is that humans will have more memory of all of their wisdom and their learning when they are born, so that they do not have to relearn everything over and over as if they never had any experience being in a body. There is wisdom that comes from being a soul on the earth and having multiple lifetimes. But the wisdom of each lifetime and the knowing of certain ways of operating in the world as a human in a body are not carried forward life to life, but that will change. So it's not so much that humans will remember their past lives, it's that they will automatically know how to do certain things. They might automatically know how to talk in a complex way without having being able to be taught. The alphabet and the words and the writing might become more in the past. The young child might suddenly know how to talk in full sentences without really being taught. That's one example. Another example is the care of the body. There will be the wisdom brought through the Akashic records of all of the soul groups that have realized that that is not good for the body. We shouldn't do that. So there'll be a better taking care of the form that the spirit is occupying while they are having a lifetime. The life extension of the age will slowly increase because of that. And so there's cofactors of spiritual evolution that happen that then have an effect on other aspects of being human. So that's two examples of what change. And we'd like to fill in a third example of what might change at the spiritual knowing, understanding level. It might be that children come in even more with a remembrance of knowing that they are connected to the divine and that there is a God within them. Now, there's been people who brought forward information about the indigos, indigo children. Originally, a woman named Nancy Ann Trapp, I believe her name was. This one went to a lecture when she was younger that this woman gave. She was invited to a teacher or a professor at New York University, put some flyers out. They came all the way out to Connecticut. Someone put one on a car in a parking lot, and she was on her car. She was with some girls, and they all went, let's go. So 3 of them, including her, went in, and they saw this woman tell her story. And she has some optic nerves that are switched that were tested by professors at Berkeley in California, so that her optic nerves saw the human aura field unlike others. And she began to notice a new color coming in of soul groups, because she could see soul group color, that had never been here before. And she called them the indigos. And she brought in some different characteristics about them. And eventually other people picked up on that and expanded on that a little bit more with some information they brought in through channels. But this was the first woman who saw that new ray color of a soul group coming in. And so they've been described as having a sense of divinity and royalty and knowing they're connected. But we're not referring to that. We are referring to a different level of soul connection through the spirit body because of that intuitive factor of intellect being merged with a new aspect of intuition here that is forming, that has not been here in the human spirit body, interim spirit body structure before, that is going to be a bridge for almost like a type of soul memory. So the first one we talked about was a soul group aspect, but this is a generalized soul memory through the intuitive spiritual anatomy of humans that will also come in, so that children will automatically have an understanding that they are divine. And so this is what we wished you to share with this day. We wish to share with you this day. And this one's having a thought in the background of something she had read, going, I don't know, just sometimes there's a little bleed through. She tries to be a good channel so the information is pure. But sometimes if there's a little fumbling going on, that's her being engaged a little bit. So it's a cooperative engagement, channeling, and a good channel will get out of the way and just observe, and she mostly does that in a good way. For she has also done this a lot in her Soul's Akash. Do soul groups channel? Not in this time frame, but we won't tell you that it is not a truth that might be something that manifests in the future. And that's a very interesting thing. But that's so far ahead, we will not breach that into any conversation at this time. Or perhaps in another 50 to 100 years, that information might be percolated in. All right. You are dearly loved. Expect benevolence in all you do, and we bid you adieu. Peace be with you. All right. That's the end of episode 12 of that Heartfield Healing series. And I hope you're enjoying it. I know I'm having new things that I'm learning, and I hope it's of an interest to you. If you would, please like, subscribe, and comment if you feel like it. And thank you for an understanding of bringing this forward as a newbie into the public arena. But I'm getting used to it, and I'm getting there. Thank you, and enjoy yourself. Have a great day, and I'll see you next episode.